The living room was quiet, almost too quiet. The cushions on the sofa were not in place. A single cup sat on the coffee table, left carelessly, as if it didn't matter. As if I didn't matter. I stared at it for a long moment, unable to look away. That cup told me something without speaking. It told me he was here, but not truly present. It told me he had returned, but not for me. I glanced at the clock on the wall. The hands hovered past 10, the quiet hum of the room broken only by the faint tick. Every second seemed louder than the last, counting the hours I had spent alone with my thoughts, a silent witness to the growing distance between us. The house was still, but it carried weight, a heaviness that pressed against my chest, filling me with unease. Then I heard the sound I had been dreading, the familiar turn of the key in the lock. The door opened. He stepped inside. His expression was distant, unreadable, like a storm behind calm eyes. His steps were measured, deliberate, but not tired, not the steps of someone returning from a long day. He did not greet me. He did not glance my way. He did not even exhale. He moved to the table, placed his briefcase down and let it drop with a soft thud that echoed through the still room. I watched him, searching for a hint, a sign that he saw me, that he noticed me. His gaze stayed fixed ahead. My lips trembled, but my words never formed. "Did you have a good day?" I whispered. No answer. He pulled out his phone, the screen lighting his face in pale blue. His fingers swiped and tapped rapidly. He seemed present in the world of his device, not in the space we shared. I wanted to ask, "Where were you? Why didn't you call? Who were you with?" Inner conflict. But a weight pressed on my chest, a mix of fear and hesitation. Fear of his reaction. Fear of the truth. So I remained silent, though the quiet burned deeper than words ever could. Minutes passed. He moved past me without acknowledgement, retreating to the bedroom and closing the door behind him. I stayed in the living room, the air thick with tension, my hands cold, my chest heavy. The quiet was not peace. It was a storm waiting to break. My mind raced, thinking of questions I could not voice, thoughts I dared not speak aloud. I wanted to follow, to demand answers, to uncover what was hidden beneath the cold mask he wore. But deep inside I feared what I might find. This was not how it had been in the beginning. We had laughed easily, shared smiles that filled the room like sunlight. Small gestures, touching hands, warm words, shared glances had made the house feel alive. Now the laughter was gone. The touch was gone. The warmth had faded, leaving a hollow echo of what once was. I realized quietly, painfully, that the first trap in our marriage had already taken hold. Distance without recognition. A silent drift that could grow into a canyon if left unchecked. When we first married, life felt simple, full of warmth and laughter. I closed my eyes and remembered those early days. He used to smile easily, his eyes lighting up when I spoke. His voice carried comfort, wrapping the room like a soft melody. He used to hold my hand when we walked together, his touch grounding me, reminding me I belonged. Small gestures, bringing me coffee in the mornings, surprising me with a note, sharing a quiet laugh, made the house feel alive. The walls seemed warmer, and even the air seemed infused with joy. I thought I had found a love that would endure. But now, things were different. Laughter was rare. Smiles were fleeting. Hands once intertwined were now separated by silence. He was near in body, but distant in spirit, a stranger living under the same roof. That morning, I rose early as usual. I brewed tea, laid out the cups carefully, each movement mechanical, practiced. When he entered, he didn't greet me. I asked softly, "Will you eat?" He shook his head, lifted the cup without a word, drank slowly, eyes glued to his phone. Once finished, he left the house abruptly, coat on, steps hurried, as if escaping. I watched from the window, heart tightening, feeling like a burden, a shadow in my own home. I turned back to the kitchen, my hands moving automatically to clean the cups and wipe the table, but my eyes blurred with silent tears. "Why is he like this?" I whispered. "Did I do something wrong? Say something I shouldn't?" No answer came. Later I went to the market, observing couples laughing together, their hands brushing, arms linked, sharing ordinary joys. I felt invisible, alone, craving the simple happiness that once seemed natural. The realization hit. This was the first emotional trap. Ignoring distance, hoping it will close on its own. Silence had crept in, unaddressed, widening the gap between us. That night he returned late. His shirt carried a faint scent that was not mine. My voice trembled as I asked, "Where were you?" His response was cold, clipped. "Do not ask." He turned and disappeared into the bedroom. I sank onto the sofa, dim light flickering around me, hands covering my face. Tears fell silently, my chest heavy with unspoken grief. Nights stretched endlessly. He ate little, spoke less, eyes always glued to the phone. Occasionally I caught him smiling at the screen. That smile hurt more than any argument. It was never for me. My heart whispered suspicions. Another woman. But fear silenced my voice. The second trap had emerged, staying silent when warning signs appear, letting uncertainty fester. One evening I decided to act cautiously. I prepared his favorite meal, setting the table with care, hope fluttering weakly inside me. When he arrived, I said gently, "I made this for you." He glanced at the food, frowned and replied flatly, "I'm not hungry," before shutting himself in the bedroom. I sat at the table, tears falling into the meal, each bite heavy like stone. I asked myself, am I still his partner, or merely a shadow inhabiting this house? The nights became longer. I lay awake, listening to his breathing, back turned to me. The bed felt wide, the room cold. Loneliness was crushing. Then one day, his phone buzzed on the table. A name appeared, someone I didn't recognize. My chest ached. I did not cry that night. Instead, I stared at my hands, realizing they were capable of holding a life of my own. My heart ached, fragile, yet a seed of strength began to grow. I opened my journal, reading the pages filled with my pain, my fear. Then I wrote a new page. I will not let these traps define me. I will reclaim my life. The tears that fell now carried a strange hope. When he came home, he noticed me writing and asked, "What are you looking at?" "My life," I replied simply. He laughed, not understanding, but I knew I was close to a choice. I began, quietly, saving coins from my work, small and steady, a private plan growing with each passing day. I whispered to myself, I am not weak. I am more than a title. I am me. The fire inside grew stronger. One Saturday, I went to the park again. An elderly woman noticed me. "You look stronger now," she said. "I want to change my life," I confessed. "Then do it," she urged. "Don't wait for tomorrow. Start today." Her words ignited something in me. That night when he scoffed, "You cannot go. You are weak. You need me," I met his eyes calmly. "No, I am not weak. I do not need you," I said. His smile vanished, anger flashed in his eyes, but I remained steady. The third trap had been confronted. Believing someone else's approval defines your strength. The next morning, I packed a small bag, clothes, my journal, and my secret savings. My hands shook, yet determination guided me. He was asleep. I glanced at him one last time, and for the first time realized he was my past, not my peace. I stepped out, sunlight brushing my face, tears falling freely, but no longer of fear, of freedom. I found a modest room near the market. The owner handed me a key. Safe was enough. That night, I sat on the bed, quiet, reflecting on the emotional traps I had endured. Distance, silence, reliance, fear of solitude. Days turned to weeks. I worked, cooked, walked, wrote. Loneliness existed, but emptiness did not. Strength had taken root. Each day, I reclaimed pieces of myself. I had learned the fourth trap, waiting for change from the one who causes pain. I had learned the fifth, letting fear of judgment dictate your choices. Life was mine to live. Some nights were hard, some days were long. Yet, the house I left behind became irrelevant. My life, my rules, my hope. For the first time, I felt alive again. I walked streets without hesitation, entered rooms with confidence. I smiled freely, laughed without pretense. My journey was no longer defined by emotional traps, but by conscious choices. I had left fear, neglect, and uncertainty behind. I was whole. I was free. The next morning, I stood by the window as the light crept across the floor. The house was silent, but inside me something had changed. I took out a small bag from the closet and began to fill it. A few clothes, my notebook, the little envelope of money I had saved. My hands trembled, but my heart was steady. He was still asleep. I looked at him for a long moment. His face looked calm, almost innocent, but I knew better. Peace had never lived beside him. Pain had. I opened the door slowly. The hinges creaked, and I paused, afraid he might wake. But he didn't. The cold morning air brushed my face. For the first time in years, I felt the world breathing again. I stepped out. I didn't look back. I didn't need to. Behind that door was the woman I used to be. The one who waited, who feared, who begged for love. I was leaving her there too. The street was empty. My feet were bare, but my soul was light. Every step felt like a small rebellion. I didn't know where I was going. I didn't need to. All I needed was away from the silence that screamed, from the eyes that looked through me. Hours later, I found a small place at the edge of the town. A kind woman stood by the gate. "It's not much," she said softly, "but it's safe." I smiled through my tears. Safe is enough. She gave me a key, small, silver, shining in the morning light. I held it tight. It was not just a key, it was my new beginning. That night, I sat on the narrow bed. The room was quiet, but not the kind of quiet that breaks you. This quiet was gentle, like a hand resting on your shoulder. I opened my notebook and wrote, "Today, I chose myself." The words felt strange and powerful. I cried, but this time, every tear felt like release. Days passed. I found a job at a small shop. I smiled at strangers. I cooked simple meals. I walked beneath the sun and let it warm my face. The world did not look the same, but I was not the same either. I had traded fear for freedom, pain for peace. Sometimes at night I still think of the house I left, but only as a story that ended. Because I have begun another. If you are trapped in a love that hurts, remember this. You are not weak for wanting peace. You are not selfish for choosing yourself. Life is short. Do not waste it waiting for someone who does not see you. Stand up. Walk away. You can heal. You can breathe again. You can begin again.